From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie B.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Friday, February the 4th, 2022. That's exactly 127 days away until the Ticats open their regular season in Saskatchewan. Speaking of Saskatchewan, just wrapped up a great conversation with the play-by-play voice of the Riders, Derek Taylor, for an all-new episode of Speaking with the Enemy Free Agency Edition. As all this week, we went around the CFL. We hit all of the other 8 teams with some great guests and some great insights. So go check that out as free agency opens February 8th. Just thought it would be nice to see what other teams are up to. Of course, today I'll let you know everything that the Ticats have been up to in the last week. We'll hear from some of the players who have re-signed. We'll hear from the newest member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Lamar Durant. We'll be joined by the president of football operations and head coach, Orlondo Steinauer. And before it's all said and done, Bralon Addison, Ticats receiver, will be stopping by. So, a lot to get to. You may remember last week as we were coming on the air, I told you that the Ticats had signed Simone Lawrence, and we will hear from Simone Lawrence as well. And if you want to hear our full conversations, I was fortunate to catch up with just about everyone this week who has signed with the Ticats. You can go to ticats.ca and catch my full conversations with them, or you can go to the Ticats Audio Network wherever you found this show, and you'll also be able to download the one-on-one so you can take it with you wherever you go on the Ticats Audio Network. All right, don't have any time to spare on this show because a lot has happened, as mentioned, since the Ticats last signed. Since we last spoke, and let's start right from last weekend as the Ticats re-signed American running back Don Jackson to a 2-year deal. And I had a chance to catch up with Don Jackson, and here's what he had to say about re-signing with the Cats.
I think that was one of the biggest factors. Everybody that was on board with us last year, we all understand, we know. That's just not how you want to like if the band were to break up, that's not how you want it to happen. You get what I'm saying? So that motivation was definitely in my mind, being that I felt like we have unfinished business. It sounds cliche. Everybody says it, but it's true. We were literally at the last game, the top of the mountain, and we didn't reach our goals. So that definitely played into my decision of coming back to Hamilton. And I just really want to do it with this group of guys again. I really love the locker room. I love the team. And I just can't wait to see, I think us, we've just yet to see that full version of what we can be. So I'm excited to get everybody else back and see what we're going to end up with and continuing our standard.
That was Don Jackson as I caught up with him this week after it was announced he signed a 2-year extension to stay with the Ticats. And then on Sunday, the team announced they re-signed American wide receiver Stephen Dunbar Jr. He appeared in 12 games for the Cats in 21, recording 44 receptions for 630 yards to go along with 4 touchdowns. Then, on Monday, the team announced they signed national receiver Lamar Durant. He played in 8 games for the Lions last year. He had 24 receptions for 263 yards. He also had a carry for 18 yards. He was released by the Lions on January 31st. So if you're wondering, well, why can they announce him but not other players? Because he was technically a free agent because he was released. Everybody else isn't a free agent until February 8th. So just kind of explaining that little technicality there. And we actually had a chance to catch up with Lamar Durant this week. And I asked him about what he's feeling joining the Ticats organization.
It was exciting talking to some teams, but overall, it just seemed like the Ticats were a perfect fit. They're a winning organization now, been back-to-back Grey Cups. It just seemed like it was a no-brainer, really, when it came down to everything, and I'm excited to be out there.
What was there something that sold you on it? Like, what was it? Dane Evans, you got to see what he's been doing. The pieces that are around Bralon Addison. I mean, you're joining a really talented receiving group. But was there something specific, a conversation you had maybe that really hammered it home?
It was just a little bit of everything, I'd say. I know talking with my old receiver friend at BC there, Brian Burnham, he played with Dane Evans, so he's told me a lot about him. He said that he's a really good quarterback, and I've seen him play, and I know the things he can do. And then, just seeing like some of the guys that I've played with, like Don Jackson, Deontay Evans, those guys that are out there, I've only heard good things about being out there. So just everything was piling up, and everything just was making Hamilton sound like the place to be. So when I had the opportunity, I wasn't going to turn it down.
And that's the newest member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Lamar Durant, a national wide receiver, signing with the team on Monday. Then on Tuesday, the team announced they signed national linebacker Curtis Newton. He played in all 14 games with the Cats last season, including 3 in the postseason. He had 9 special teams tackles. Also, on Tuesday, the team announced they signed Jovan Santos Knox. He started all 14 games in 2021. He had 72 defensive tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 quarterback sack, 1 forced fumble. And I had a chance to catch up with him this week. And here's what he had to say about being back in Hamilton.
Just the love of football that they have, and just how much they embrace the Ticat players, and just, my family came out here and they've been to different cities in the CFL, and they just fell in love. The minute they came up here, they just said it's the energy up here is different than any other stadium, just because fans are so passionate, and it's just, you want to lay it all on the line for them. So like I said, it's a big goal of mine to bring a championship back to Hamilton, where I believe it belongs, a Grey Cup. And, I know the fans are itching for one.
What's your message to fans who are watching this, who are listening to this? What do you want to tell them?
I just think, you're going to get another hardworking team in 2022, and, just expect, us to bust our tails every day. And just, I think it's going to be a great season. Whenever you have Coach O as your leader, I think great things are to come. So I think expect a big season, and let's get it going.
That was Jovan Santos Knox as we caught up with him earlier this week. Clearly pumped to be back in the city of Hamilton. So that news came down on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, the team announced that they re-signed American defensive back Cariel Brooks to a 2-year contract. The 30-year-old played in 12 games for the Cats last season. He had a league-leading 5 interceptions and was named a CFL All-Star for the first time in his career. Also on Wednesday, the team announced they signed national offensive lineman Kay Okafor, the former Ticats draft pick. Played in 8 games last season before suffering a season-ending injury. Then on Thursday, some big news dropped as the club announced they re-signed American defensive tackle Dylan Wynn to a 2-year contract. He started 12 games at defensive tackle for the Cats in 2011 and was named an East Division All-Star for the 3rd time in his career. And when I caught up with him and a very special guest who you will hear at the end of this answer, it was very clear that despite getting offers and having talked to teams in this tampering period, he was pretty committed to calling Hamilton home.
Well, I think that's why we took a little longer to sign this year for sure. I've never signed, I would consider like a big contract, and I've never, I've never been in this position where I'm so wanted, which is awesome. And I owed it to myself and my family to, just feel the love a little bit. And I wasn't going to drag anybody on. And to be honest, I wasn't sure going into this process where home was guaranteed. And I'm just, if anything, this process reinforced how much Hamilton cares about me and cares about my family and all of our stuff. And so, like this one said, we're quite excited to be back in the Hammer.
And that is Dylan Wynn with his daughter on his lap as we caught up with him this week. An adorable daughter, and you can find the clip on my Twitter at Louie B _TV, and you can catch the full interview at ticats.ca or right here on the Ticats audio network. I thought going into this show I would have you 100% caught up, but as I hit record, since I've hit record and have gotten to this point of the show, I have been told that the Ticats have signed somebody else, and that is offensive lineman Jesse Gibbon. So there you go. Making it official, Jesse Gibbon has re-signed with the Ticats, and I've just been told that that is official now. So you are 100% up to date on everyone the Ticats have signed if you are listening to this as soon as it goes out. because if you're listening to this a little bit later, I cannot offer that same guarantee. Okay, wanted to get to this clip here from Simone Lawrence. He signed last week, but I think it was important, before I bring in my next guest in Coach Orlondo Steinauer, I wanted to hear just how much of a factor Coach O was for Simone to re-sign, and I think it's a really good answer that you want to hear. So here's Simone Lawrence as I caught up with him earlier this week, talking about his relationship with Orlondo Steinauer.
Coach O is one of probably like the biggest pieces of my success since I've been to Hamilton. Him being my defensive coordinator at first, and most of this stuff is not football that we talk about and stuff. He's big on making sure I'm improving in the life aspect of my life as well. And, he's just always do what's best for you type of situation. And, he taught the game to me early when we were in 2013, learning the defense and learning how everything moves and the pieces it moves and how everything has to be interchangeable and how to work out and how to take care of my body during the off season. That's somebody I leaned on, and it works. So he's one of those guys where I would run through a wall for, and he doesn't have to ask me too many times to do anything.
That is Simone Lawrence talking about Coach O, and let's bring in the president of football operations and head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It's Orlondo Steinauer, and this has got to be at least a little bit different for you. You're the man in charge. You're the president of football operations. Just how different has this experience been, this legal tampering period we find ourselves in, trying to re-sign players, trying to talk to new players? What's this been like for you?
It's been on fast forward, to be honest with you. But the title aside, it's that doesn't really change. I was still involved in things before. I may have a little bit more say now, but at the end of the day, we have a transformational environment. And I'll tell you what, the job that Drew Almain and Ed Hervey and Spencer Zimmerman have done, rolling up their sleeves, and even the people in our operations department with Trey Nickel and CJ Paduano, these guys are the ones that make it go, right? I'm in front of the camera right now, but they're the ones behind the scenes. But to me, it's been nothing short of just free agency, really. Like, this thing's really taken on a life of its own. And sometimes you can't prepare for everything that's going to happen, but you can have a plan and understand how you may have to deviate or whatnot. But it has been, like I said, fast forward. But I'll tell you what's really made it easy is the people that I'm surrounded by. They're A people.
We'll get into a bit more on that in just a second. But, when you and I last talked, it was right when you had signed Dane Evans. You had said that was kind of a key piece. You need your quarterback. You need the most important person on your football field. A lot of guys have signed since then. Your offensive line looks like it's getting back together with the signing of Revenberg and Van Zyl. Your secondary with Tunde, and then today with Carriel. You mentioned having a plan. How much of the plan has gone according to, and how much have you had to kind of deal with some curveballs left and right?
Well, we've had to deal with a lot of curveballs, and when you have some of the achievement that we have, and it's been pretty sustainable. People want your players. It's not just a thing of you want them back, they want to be back. Like, everybody wants raises. And everybody wants to know answers to different questions. And then they're getting stuff from other teams and different opportunities. And some people, it's closer to home. And there's things that don't ever come out in the media why sometimes people leave. And it's not just because of money. There's other variables that have to be taken into account. And so those are the kind of the curveballs that you anticipate, but you're not sure. And then sometimes people just take a hard stand and they want to wait. It's not that there's not contracts on the table or that you haven't talked, which is what happens from the outside in. It's like, well, nothing's happening. Well, oftentimes people are talked to, but you can't make anybody sign anything. And also, I think it's just important to remember that, no team ever looks the same, right? There's always going to be change. And sometimes people are just eager to be back. And so they sign a lot sooner. And sometimes people want to wait it out. So that's just part of the process, and it's an exciting time, but it's definitely very busy.
Speaking of the process, this legal tampering period, obviously you're reaching out to guys who are free agents or will be free agents come February 8th. What kind of questions are they asking you about the team or what you're building? And what kind of questions are you asking them to try and find out if they're a good fit for the Tiger Cats?
Well, in some cases, you're reaching directly out to the player. Sometimes that's, we definitely want to get that flavor, right? We want people that want to be here and that we're not persuading to be here. Sometimes people, you luck into some, and sometimes people are calling you. And a lot of times, though, it's filtered through their agents. But I do believe in reaching out to the player at some point in the process. Excuse me. As far as the specific questions, we'll just leave that kind of stuff in-house. But those vary from client to client, and as I like to say, person to person. And so there's no cookie cutter model for each person. It's more of, sometimes you want to find out what they're looking for in their next opportunity. If it's a returning player, what they liked about the role, why they want to be back. I think feedback is always important.
When you're looking at a plan, when you're planning out, obviously these 2-year deals, you got a lot of guys coming back on 2-year deals, some coming back on 1. How much does that play a factor? Obviously terms, numbers are going to, come in play. But when you're building your team, I mean, you're planning not just for this season, you're planning beyond it. How much of a role is that in these discussions?
Yeah, I think continuity is extremely important. While there's nothing guaranteed, I think it does speak volumes. A lot of players, they want to bet on themselves, and I totally get that. Meaning they want to sign 1-year deals, and they have that option, and we have to offer that, and we do. But sometimes people value security and wanting to know where they're going to be versus the power of a dollar. And there is no right or wrong way. Everybody's at different points in their life and in their career, and most of the time they're not speaking for just themselves. The majority of people have families and if not direct families, they have people they're supporting. And so there's a lot more that goes into it in that. And so there's never any judgment with that. We would love to have everybody on 2-year deals or longer, but with the understanding that that's not likely to happen.
You mentioned a couple of guys in the front office. There was a recent departure in the front office, and that was Rich Massaro. And I know he had been a big part of this team for a few years now, but he got an awesome opportunity. Just tell us a little bit about Rich Massaro as a person and this new opportunity that he has.
Well, I look at our front office, if you will, the same way I look at our football team. When things go well, people want your people, and they want our players and credit that. That's awesome. People, they've earned that opportunity, and that's the same thing. People wanted Sean Burke, and he got a great opportunity, and the University of Buffalo came calling for Rich Massaro, and it was an opportunity that, he's from Buffalo. It's right there. Sometimes things just align in life. So it's not like people are getting great opportunities to move on. And when you do things well, people are going to come get them. And that's just, I'm proud and I'm excited for Rich. And, I'm extremely happy for Sean. But when it comes to Rich, he gave 7 years to this organization, and he came in as an entry-level guy and slowly worked his way up. And all he did was grind and grind and grind. And what people might not know about Rich is he commuted from Buffalo the majority of the time. And that's how much he committed to this Tiger Cat organization and committed to just taking the process as it comes. So, we're super, super grateful. Rich helped build where we're at right now, and it was time for him to go soar and head in a different direction. So, yeah, publicly, we definitely want to thank Rich, and he's definitely going to be missed. Miss him already.
Well said. And before we let you go, I want to ask you about Black History Month. I know it's an important month for you, and especially now in your position as president of football operations, just one of the highest ranking Black men in the Canadian Football League. You look around your team, Mark Washington and your Randys, and just Ed Hervey. How important is it to learn to celebrate Black History Month? And what are you hoping that Ticats fans take out of the month of February?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing is just awareness of it, and there's something that each year annually that we celebrate. We hope that, it's a point where it's not always a celebration. It's just the norm. And that's something that we take extremely serious. And, I think that, I keep a picture back here of Bernie Custis. Bernie was extremely instrumental for me. He was always on the sideline. He was that steady rock. I know he was Ron Lancaster's right-hand guy, if you will. And it's bigger than that. There's a school named after Bernie Custis behind. So Bernie was amazing. And I just bring up his specific name because I get to see the school every day. I have a picture of him in my office, but I think we're slowly turning the corner on some things. We have so far to go, but it does start with awareness and also embodying it. It's not just talking about it, it's being about it. And hopefully you see diversity on our staff. And I think it is to be celebrated. I think it's something that, should possibly be studied in schools and just, again, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So I like to bring it to the forefront. So we are working to do our part as the Hamilton Tiger Cats, not just on the outside, but on the inside. And that includes with hires and doing talks like this about it, Louie.
Yeah, and I know Courtney Stephen did such a great job leading up to the Grey Cup, and Bernie Custis was a big part of that. Garney Henley as well, and I Coach, really appreciate your time. I heard your phone buzzing, so I mean the fact that I got 10 minutes with the president of football operations.
Would you stop? Would you stop with all that title stuff? You got 10 minutes.
I got 10 minutes with O. I got 10 minutes. But you're a busy guy, though. You're a busy guy. Man.
I won't deny that I'm busy, but. I'm just a person that's trying to get better every day and help this organization sustain its rich pride and tradition.
All right. So, thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thank you, Louie.
That is the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats and president of football operations, Orlondo Steinauer. And a great answer there on Bernie Custis and the importance of what he has done in his career and the influence it's had on Orlondo Steinauer. And that gives me a chance to promote that all this month across our Ticats social media channels, we'll be promoting Black History Month. We'll be catching up with players, talking about what it means to them, influential people in their families, in their lives who've helped make a difference. So keep your eyes peeled on the Ticats social media channels for some exclusive Black History Month content. All right, before we go, very pleased now to be joined by Bralon Addison, Ticats receiver. And Bralon, you were one name that Ticats fans didn't have to worry about as you're already under contract for 2022. So you went through the free agent process last year. What was that like? And what's it like this time, this season, kind of just sitting back, kicking your feet up and seeing what other deals are made?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my first little free agency a year ago was kind of fun just to, be able to have that interest from other teams and be able to play that little game of like hearing what this team has to say, hearing what that team has to say. But definitely this year I've been, just watching from afar and just kind of sitting back and relaxing and kind of, seeing who we sign and, getting some of our fan favorites back and, seeing all the other news going around the league. So it's kind of been cool to just see it from that perspective, not having to worry about where I'll be playing next year and just, sit back and relax.
Looking at your receiver room, you add a guy like Lamar Durant, you bring back Pappy, Tim's under contract. You got to be pretty excited with the pieces that are around you to heading into 2022.
Definitely, man. We got Steven back also. And then, we got Pappy back. Tim's under contract, like you said, and then adding a guy like Lamar, who's a multiple guy, man. I watched him when he was in BC. I wasn't in the league yet when he was in Calgary, but watching him the last couple of years in BC, seeing the things that he can do, and then also being, a ratio buster. Anytime we can get a guy like that in our room and, just have guys that can do everything and play every position, it's always going to make us better. So I'm definitely excited.
And you and Dane, I mean, in 2019, you guys were a 1-2 punch. I mean, how excited are you to, get to play with Dane week in and week out heading into this season?
I'm super excited, man. Dane's a competitor. He's a perfectionist. He loves to do what he does as far as like going in every week and just making sure he's ready mentally, but also getting out there on the practice field and just trying to become the best that he can be. I think anytime you got a guy like that who's just dedicated to his craft and dedicated to being great, I'm super excited to see where he goes, see how much better he continues to get. Missing a brother like Sully is going to hurt a little bit. I'm pretty sure Dane is going to hurt him too. Those guys were like this, man. So, it's been unique the last couple of years to have two guys who you're so close with and two guys that are really good. Being able to have the luxury of having both of those guys has been unique. But, Dane is going to be, steering the ship now, and I can't wait to see what he does.
You mentioned Soley and Brandon Banks too. You got to play with him. I mean, he's one of the all-time great Ticats, and I'm sure wherever he goes next is going to have a ton of success. But just kind of reflect on what you were able to learn from a guy like Speedy, what he was like in the room, and what it's going to be like to see him, in other colors, to go up against him next season.
Right. When I heard the news, I sent him a long message, man, and just kind of told him, I was going to miss him. When I first got to Hamilton, I was like the young guy, and Speedy was the top dog in the room and the older, the vet. And, he used to always help me learn the playbook when I first got here. He was never a guy that just kind of, you get to some locker rooms and the guy who's the top dog, he doesn't want to help the younger guys or the guys who just got there. But immediately when I got to Hamilton, I could see that he just wanted to win. And he was willing to do whatever he could to help the team win. And that's one thing I always remember about him is just, his willingness to help everybody around him be great and help him be the great player that he is. I think that's special.
It's really well said. Last year, it's safe to say it was frustrating, just having to deal with injuries, first the shoulder and then the hamstring. How motivated are you to get back on the field, and how do you put a year like that behind you as you turn the page?
Super motivated, man. I think last year coming in with the knee injury and then having a hamstring when I returned, it was something for me that's disappointing. I'm a competitor. I love to compete. And, being able to sit on the sideline, having to sit on the sideline and watching my team compete week in and week out without me, it was tough. So, this offseason, I'm putting in some work, and I'm going to be ready to go. I just want to be out there and compete, man. That's what I love to do. I love to compete. I love to go every day and get better and have fun with the guys and, be able to go to war on the weekend. So I can't wait to get back. I'm super excited.
Well said, Bralon. It's always great to catch up with you. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Yes, sir.
My thanks to Bralon Addison for joining me. My thanks to President of Football Ops and Head Coach Orlondo Steinauer. And my thanks to you, because could not do the show without your support. So thank you. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great shows on the Ticats Audio Network. While I got you here, go check out a week's worth of Speaking with the Enemy. Find out what other teams are doing around the CFL. And next week, make sure you're subscribed and keep your eyes and ears open for exclusive free agency coverage here on the Ticats Audio Network. That's it for us today. Thanks again for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave a review. Hit me up on Twitter if you want, at Louie B _TV. Always love hearing from Ticats fans and CFL fans across the league. Have a great weekend. We're back next week on the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Louie B, hoping you have a great day.